team established here by the Attorney General. Most importantly, you do not get to be a drug kingpin and evade the law. Make no mistake.
At 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday night, federal prosecutors stood before cameras in downtown Houston and declared something the American healthcare system had never seen before: the largest coordinated medical fraud and patient endangerment operation in U.S. history. 60 patients, all of them within 48 hours of catastrophic organ failure or death. Over $127 million in fraudulent Medicare and Medicaid billings processed through a network of ghost clinics that didn't just steal money, they destroyed lives with counterfeit medications, unlicensed procedures, and fabricated medical records that convinced insurance companies to pay for treatments that never happened. And at the center of it all, a Somali-born clinic director named Abdurrahim Khalif Muhammad. A man who turned Houston's medical district into his personal drug empire, except his product wasn't cocaine or fentanyl. It was fake insulin, counterfeit chemotherapy drugs, diluted antibiotics, and surgeries performed by people who never went to medical school. This isn't about a few forged prescriptions or billing mistakes. This is organized medical crime on a continental scale, and what FBI and ICE agents found when they kicked down the doors of Muhammad's so-called clinics will make you question every prescription you've ever filled and every doctor's office you've ever trusted. Because the network didn't just operate in Houston, it stretched across Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida, with financial ties to coordination cells in Minnesota, Ohio, and even overseas accounts in Kenya, Somalia, and the United Arab Emirates. The investigation took 14 months, the takedown took 6 hours, and when it was over, federal agents had seized enough counterfeit medications to fill an entire warehouse, rescued patients who were being slowly poisoned by fake treatments, and arrested a man who smiled for his booking photo like he'd just won the lottery. Let me show you how deep this goes, and I promise you, the next part is worse. 4:32 a.m., Harris County, Texas. 3rd Ward District. The streets are empty except for the hum of distant highway traffic and the flicker of a broken streetlight outside a medical office building that looks like it was abandoned years ago. Cracked windows, peeling paint, a faded sign that reads Community Health Partners with half the letters missing. But inside, the lights are on. And federal agents have been watching this place for 3 months. FBI, ICE, Department of Health and Human Services Office of Inspector General, Texas Rangers, Harris County Sheriff's Office, all of them staged in unmarked vehicles 2 blocks away, waiting for the signal. At exactly 4:30 a.m., the lead FBI supervisor gives the green light. 14 tactical units move at once. SWAT teams in black fatigues and ballistic helmets breach the front and side entrances simultaneously. Flashbangs ignite in the hallway. The sound echoes like thunder through the empty neighborhood. Federal agents, hands where we can see them. Inside, they find 6 people in white lab coats scrambling to shut down computers and shove files into duffel bags. None of them are doctors. 2 of them are convicted felons with prior fraud convictions. One is a former car mechanic, another worked at a call center in Nairobi until 8 months ago. On the examination tables, agents find patients, real patients, elderly men and women with IV lines in their arms, connected to bags of clear liquid that are supposed to be saline or chemotherapy medication. But when field medics test the contents, they find nothing but diluted tap water mixed with food coloring. These people are dying, and they don't even know it. One woman, 73 years old, tells agents she's been coming here for 6 months for her diabetes treatment. She paid $400 per visit. She thought she was getting insulin. She wasn't. She was getting counterfeit vials filled with expired saline solution bought from a black market supplier in Lagos, Nigeria. Her blood sugar is over 600. She's in pre-diabetic coma. She has maybe 12 hours before her organs start shutting down. Paramedics rush her to the nearest real hospital. She's one of the lucky ones. In another room, agents find steel filing cabinets packed with thousands of patient files. Names, addresses, social security numbers, Medicare and Medicaid ID numbers. Every single one of them has been used to file fraudulent insurance claims for treatments that never happened, hip replacements that were never performed, MRI scans that were never taken, prescription medications that were never dispensed. The billing records show over $14 million processed through this one clinic alone in the last 18 months. But the real discovery happens in the back office. Behind a false wall covered by a cheap poster of a beach sunset, agents find a hidden server room, 3 high-end computers, external hard drives, encrypted USB sticks, and a whiteboard covered in handwritten notes with names, dates, and dollar amounts. At the top of the board, written in red marker, are 2 words, Operation Lifeline, and beneath it, a list of cities: Houston, New Orleans, Mobile, Pensacola, Tampa, Jackson, Baton Rouge. This isn't one clinic, it's a network, and the man running it isn't just stealing money, he's killing people. 7:15 a.m., FBI field office, downtown Houston, inside a sterile conference room with no windows. A team of federal cyber forensic analysts sits in front of glowing monitors, cracking through layers of encryption on the hard drives seized from the clinic. It takes them 90 minutes to break the first firewall. What they find on the other side makes one analyst lean back in his chair and whisper, "Jesus Christ." A master database. Over 47,000 patient records, all of them real people, all of them Medicare or Medicaid recipients, most of them elderly, disabled, or immigrants who don't speak English fluently and trust whatever doctor they're assigned. The records show a systematic operation. Patients are recruited through targeted ads on social media, flyers in low-income neighborhoods, and phone calls from fake healthcare coordinators who promise free medical services, no copays, no questions asked. Once they show up, they're entered into the system. Their insurance information is harvested, and from that point on, the network bills their insurance companies for hundreds of thousands of dollars in fake procedures, medications, and tests. But here's the nightmare part. Some of the patients are real. They actually come in for treatment, and the treatment they receive is designed to keep them sick. Fake insulin that doesn't control blood sugar, counterfeit chemotherapy that doesn't fight cancer, diluted antibiotics that don't cure infections. Why? Because a sick patient keeps coming back, and every visit generates another insurance claim. It's not just fraud, it's engineered medical torture for profit. The analysts find financial records showing wire transfers to 13 shell companies with names like Gulf Coast Medical Logistics, Crescent Health Solutions, and Atlas Pharmaceutical Distribution. Each company is registered in a different state: Delaware, Nevada, Wyoming. All of them have the same business address, a mailbox rental store in a Houston strip mall. The money flows through these ghost corporations, gets laundered through offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands and Dubai, and eventually lands in personal accounts controlled by one man, Abdirahim Khalif Muhammad, 52 years old, Somali immigrant, no medical degree, no healthcare license, no formal training of any kind. But he's made over $89 million in the last 4 years by convincing vulnerable patients that he's saving their lives while he's actually destroying them. His digital signature is all over the operation, approval codes for fake medication shipments, authorization keys for fraudulent insurance claims, encrypted messages coordinating with clinic operators in 6 different states. One intercepted message sent 3 weeks before the raids reads, "Increase volume. Feds are distracted. Push Florida expansion before summer." This isn't negligence. This is command-level organized crime, and the network he built didn't just infiltrate healthcare, it corrupted the people who were supposed to protect it. 9 a.m., Federal Command Center, George Bush Intercontinental Airport, Houston. Inside a temporary operations hub set up in a secured hangar, a massive digital map covers the wall, showing Harris County and the surrounding regions. Dozens of red markers pulse across the screen. Each one represents a clinic, warehouse, distribution center, or residential address tied to Muhammad's network. Standing in front of the map, the FBI special agent in charge announces the mission. "We have confirmation on 31 active locations across 5 states. We're moving now. Full coordination with ICE, HHSOIG, DEA, and local SWAT. This is a simultaneous takedown, no leaks, no delays. We hit every location within the same 2-hour window." Over 800 federal agents are mobilized. Black Hawk helicopters lift off from Houston, Galveston, and Beaumont, carrying tactical teams to remote warehouse locations. Armored vehicles roll through the streets of 3rd Ward, Sunnyside, and Greenspoint, staging near suspected clinic sites. ICE agents coordinate with border enforcement near Brownsville and Laredo, intercepting shipments of counterfeit medications crossing from Mexico. At exactly 9:30 a.m., the raids begin. In Houston's East End, SWAT teams breach a converted auto body shop that's been operating as a fake pharmacy. Inside, they find pallets stacked floor to ceiling with counterfeit medication bottles, fake labels, fake serial numbers. Some of the bottles are filled with nothing but crushed aspirin mixed with cornstarch. Estimated street value, if sold as real prescriptions, $11 million. In New Orleans, agents storm a residential mansion in the Garden District owned by a shell company called Trinity Health Holdings. Inside, they find a full medical suite with examination tables, surgical equipment, and a walk-in freezer filled with vials of expired injectable drugs, purchased from black market suppliers in Eastern Europe. 2 unlicensed surgeons are arrested on site. One of them has a prior conviction for practicing medicine without a license in Illinois. In Mobile, Alabama, agents hit a strip mall clinic advertising affordable cancer treatment to uninsured patients. They find 19 patients hooked up to IV bags filled with saline and yellow food dye, told they're receiving chemotherapy. None of them are. Field medics immediately transport them to real hospitals. Some of them are so far into late-stage cancer that they may not survive the week. The fake clinic billed Medicare $6.3 million for chemotherapy treatments that never happened. In Tampa, ICE agents raid a logistics company operating out of an industrial park near the port. Inside a refrigerated shipping container, they find thousands of counterfeit prescription bottles labeled as insulin, antibiotics, and heart medication. Chemical analysis shows the vials contain diluted saline, expired vaccines, and in some cases, nothing but tap water. The shipment was scheduled to be distributed to clinics across the southeast the following morning. In Jackson, Mississippi, federal agents surround a clinic operating inside a converted church building. The sign outside reads Faith and Healing Community Care Center. Inside, they find a full counterfeit prescription operation, fake doctor's notes, fake prescriptions, fake medication bottles printed on site using industrial label printers. The pastor running the operation is a convicted felon with prior charges for identity theft and wire fraud. By noon, the operation is over. 31 locations raided, 47 suspects arrested, over $31 million in cash and assets seized, 12 tons of counterfeit medications confiscated, and 63 patients rescued and transported to legitimate hospitals for emergency care. The underworld of medical fraud took more damage in 6 hours than it had in the last 6 years. But the story doesn't end there, because what investigators found when they dug deeper into Mohammed's operation revealed something even more disturbing. He didn't just corrupt the healthcare system, he corrupted the people sworn to protect it. 2:00 p.m., FBI Evidence Processing Center, Houston. Federal investigators sit in front of computer monitors, combing through the seized servers, email logs, financial transactions, and internal communications pulled from Mohammed's network. What they find is a betrayal that cuts to the bone. Mohammed didn't operate in secret, he operated with help. Over the last 4 years, he paid off 19 healthcare inspectors, 11 Medicare fraud investigators, 6 ICE agents, and 4 federal prosecutors to look the other way, delay investigations, or tip him off before raids. The payments were hidden as consulting fees, routed through the same offshore shell companies used to launder the fraudulent insurance money. One Medicare fraud investigator in New Orleans received $47,000 in cash payments over 18 months in exchange for falsifying audit reports and marking Mohammed's clinics as low priority for inspection. Another federal prosecutor in Mobile received $89,000 deposited into a family trust account in exchange for slow-walking indictments and leaking grand jury information to Mohammed's legal team. An ICE agent in Laredo was paid $12,000 per month to delay inspections of pharmaceutical shipments crossing the border and to ensure that counterfeit medication containers were flagged as agricultural goods instead of controlled substances. The corruption wasn't just opportunistic, it was strategic. Mohammed built a second enforcement system, a shadow network of officials who operated parallel to the real federal agencies, protecting his operation while investigators who weren't on his payroll chased dead ends and false leads. One email recovered from the servers, sent by Mohammed to a corrupted inspector, reads, "Delay the Houston audit until August. I'll have everything moved by then. Usual payment next week." Another message sent to a clinic operator in Tampa reads, "If they ask about the patient files, show them the clean set. Real records stay locked." This wasn't just fraud. It was engineered systemic corruption designed to make the network invisible. One honest FBI agent who worked the case for over a year tells investigators during a debriefing, "Every time we got close, the case would stall. Warrants delayed, evidence requests denied, witnesses suddenly refusing to cooperate. We thought it was bad luck. It wasn't. It was sabotage from the inside." Federal agents begin arresting the corrupted officials one by one. A Medicare fraud investigator is taken into custody at his home in Metairie, Louisiana. He's charged with conspiracy to commit healthcare fraud, accepting bribes, and obstruction of justice. An ICE agent is arrested at the Laredo border checkpoint. He's walked out in handcuffs in front of his colleagues. A federal prosecutor is arrested in his office in downtown Mobile. His legal career is over. The system that was supposed to protect patients from predators like Mohammed had been redesigned to protect the predators instead, and it took 14 months of investigation to uncover the truth. 6:00 p.m., Harris County Jail, Houston. Abdirahim Khalif Mohammed is brought in for booking. He's wearing an expensive suit, Italian shoes, a gold Rolex on his wrist. He doesn't look like a man facing life in federal prison. He looks like a man who thinks he's untouchable. When federal marshals process him, he smiles for his mugshot. Not a nervous smile, not a defeated smile, a confident smile, like he knows something they don't. During his arraignment the next morning, prosecutors lay out the charges: conspiracy to commit healthcare fraud, wire fraud, money laundering, racketeering, conspiracy to distribute counterfeit pharmaceuticals, endangerment resulting in serious bodily harm, over 400 counts. If convicted on all charges, he faces multiple consecutive life sentences. His defense attorney argues that Mohammed was simply a businessman who hired the wrong people and didn't know the clinics were operating illegally. The prosecution responds by showing the jury encrypted messages where Mohammed personally authorized the purchase of counterfeit insulin from black market suppliers, directed clinic operators to keep patients coming back by giving them treatments that wouldn't cure them, and instructed his financial team to spread the accounts to avoid triggering federal audits. One message sent from Mohammed's personal phone to a clinic operator in Tampa reads, "Don't worry about the patients, worry about the billing. Sick people generate revenue. Healthy people disappear." The jury deliberates for 6 hours. They find him guilty on all counts. He's sentenced to 35 years in federal prison with no possibility of parole, but the damage he caused can't be undone. 63 patients were rescued during the raids. 14 of them died within the following month from complications caused by receiving fake medications and counterfeit treatments for months or years. Some of them died from untreated cancer, some from uncontrolled diabetes, some from infections that spread because the antibiotics they were given were nothing but sugar water. Their families will never get justice. Because no prison sentence can bring them back. Power doesn't always announce itself with violence or force. Sometimes it hides behind white lab coats and prescription pads. Sometimes it wears a smile and promises to heal you while it's slowly killing you. Abdirahim Khalif Muhammad didn't build a cartel with guns and cocaine. He built it with fake insulin, counterfeit chemotherapy, and the trust of vulnerable people who believed the system would protect them. He turned healthcare into a weapon, and he made $89 million doing it. The network he built stretched across 5 states, corrupted federal agents and prosecutors, and destroyed the lives of thousands of patients who thought they were being cured when they were actually being poisoned for profit. This story is a warning, not about cartels in distant countries, but about organized crime operating inside the institutions we trust most. The clinic down the street, the pharmacy around the corner, the doctor who takes your insurance without asking questions. Because sometimes the most dangerous criminals don't operate in the shadows. They operate in plain sight, wearing badges, wearing lab coats, wearing the illusion of legitimacy. If you made it this far, tap the like button so more people see this story. Comment expose if you think this kind of corruption needs to be dragged into the light, and share this with someone who needs to know that not every doctor's office is safe and not every prescription is real. This story is a fictional dramatization, but the threat it represents is real, because the system that's supposed to protect us can be corrupted, and when it is, the cost isn't just money, it's lives. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and never stop questioning the people who ask for your trust, because trust without accountability is how predators like Muhammad operate for years without being stopped, and the next ghost clinic could be in your neighborhood.